Hey everyone, I'm back. Got my first race in just over a month. This was this past weekend at the Dash for Cash Crit. It had a 2-3 category, which is what I got here, and then they also had a Pro 1-2 later, so I got to do two races in one day. But bad news for me, I had just gotten out of a cast on my hand and wrist 3 days earlier, so was not really in much biking shape. While I was in the cast, I rode maybe once a week on the trainer, and then probably ran also like once or twice a week, because I don't really enjoy riding the stationary trainer. So I tested out the wrist on one ride prior to this, and it felt all right. So I decided I would jump in, and figured this would be a good way to try and find some fitness back. And I think I was successful on that front. But anyways, this Dash for Cash is kind of unique. There's a $10 premium on every single lap, which keeps the racing pretty fast and strung out. And so we're coming into the last corner here, and I'm kind of close to the front, and nobody has opened it up yet, so I decide to open it up for the sprint. But little did I realize that someone was already up the road by themselves and had taken that preem. But I really showed everyone else who wasn't sprinting because we were sprinting for second place. And I only realized because they didn't ring the bell for our next lap, so that was when it became apparent that we weren't the first group on the road. But just going to slot back in. This whole race was pretty dynamic. Every sprint, there was like people going for the sprint, and then also people who were just trying to use it as a launch pad for a break. Like you see these guys still going for it. Um, I was making efforts to get into a break, but it was really just to like cover them so we could be represented. I didn't really think I was the best person to be representing us in a break since I didn't have a lot of fitness in the legs. Um, this course is pretty mellow. I think the $10 every lap did a lot to change the race dynamic, especially in the Pro 1-2 race. That race was very fast right from the gun and stayed pretty strung out the entire time because like big teams like Mike's Bikes were interested in the preem every single lap. So after all this reshuffling most of the race, there ended up being one guy out solo, and then towards the end of the race, around maybe 5 or 6 to go, another group of like 5 or 6 split away from the peloton and ended up sweeping up that guy who was by himself. So I skipped ahead to 2 to go here. I've got one teammate up in the break from Alto Velo, the orange and navy kit, and so don't want to help with the chase, but I would like to be in a decent position for the finish. Um, the race has felt harder than it should to this point, but in most crits, positioning is the most important thing in the last couple corners. So I'm going to see if we can still be helpful with positioning near the front. Um, this Rune rider, Jacob, is pretty strong and seemed to be racing pretty smart, so didn't mind being on his wheel. And also, he didn't have any teammates up in that break, so knew he was probably going to make a move. The break was dangling like just in front of us. It looked close enough to bridge like the entire time. I think if I was riding solo, I probably would have been tempted to jump across to it too early because it was just dangling like less than 5 seconds probably, not that much. Um, you can just see them ahead. It's a little hard to make out on the GoPro, but yeah, it was coming right down to the wire. And I think just enough people missed out on it, and it was close enough to the finish that there was a lot of people motivated to chase it. So that's the last corner, and now we're going to come through and see 1 to go. Realistically, I'm a touch too far back here, but this is also a course where you can come from pretty far back because it's so wide open. Like it's not like you won't be able to get around the field. You might have to take a corner wider, but there's definitely going to be space for you to get around this sort of office park crit. Yeah, you can see the brake right there, just dangling, and I backed out of that corner like just a touch, and that was probably like the first time all race I touched my brakes in a corner, and definitely shaking my head at it afterwards because it hurt my momentum. I could have been swinging up the right side on those wheels. I could have put a few more watts in and gotten up there too anyways. But 185 is a pretty high heart rate for me. I can tell the fitness isn't quite there. So yeah, I think a couple of people tried to bridge up to the break at this point, and that's what this acceleration is. And they make it across. The field catches the break kind of in this last straight. You can see the contact's about to happen, and was almost like really bad timing being like right in the last corner. But we get up to them, and just as we're getting up to them, our teammate on Altavella, Frazier, he attacks, and he ends up going solo through this last corner, and he holds off the charging field to take the win. It was a pretty exciting finish. You can just see him post up on the right side, maybe a little far back here. Fitness left something to be desired, so got a little work to do before some late season goals. So thanks for watching, everyone.